Every small town has its secrets, and mine was no exception. Nestled between dense forests and the relentless expanse of the moors, our town seemed like a relic from a forgotten age. A single highway connected us to the rest of the world, but the old back roads snaking through the woods were spoken about in hushed tones and with fearful glances. It was on one such evening, with the autumn wind howling through the barren branches and a mist rolling over from the moors, that I decided to take one of those lesser-known paths home. My car, an old but reliable sedan, hummed softly as I turned off the main road, the headlights cutting a narrow path through the fog. The back road was more desolate than I remembered. Twisted trees loomed over the road, their gnarled branches clawing at the sky like desperate fingers. The further I drove, the denser the fog became, swirling around my car as if trying to lead me astray. The eerie silence was broken only by the crunch of gravel under my tires and my own steady breathing. After what felt like an eternity, a dim light appeared in the distance. Relief washed over me. Maybe it was a house, or at least a place to ask for directions. As I approached, however, the light didn't grow brighter or clearer as one would expect. Instead, it flickered inconsistently, like the flame of a candle fighting against a breeze. Curiosity edged over my apprehension, and I slowed down as I neared the source of the light. It was not a house, as I had hoped, but an old lantern hanging from a gnarled tree branch. Beneath it stood a figure, draped in a tattered coat, its face obscured by the shadows of the overhanging limbs. "Need some help?" I called out hesitantly. My window rolled down just enough to let my voice escape. The figure remained silent, its head tilting slightly as if considering my words. Then, in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the earth itself, it spoke. "Lost your way?" The voice sent shivers down my spine. It was neither distinctly male nor female, but it carried with it a weight of sorrow and malice that felt ancient and overwhelming. "I'm just trying to get back to the main road," I stammered, my hand creeping towards the car door lock. "The main road?" it repeated, its tone mocking. "No one who travels this path finds the main road without a trade." "A trade?" I echoed, my heart pounding in my chest. What could this possibly mean? The figure stepped closer, the light from the lantern casting unsettling shadows across its face, revealing eyes that burned with a cold, unnatural light. "A memory," it said. "Give me a memory you hold dear, and I will guide you back." I felt an invisible force clutching at the edges of my mind, searching, probing for something precious. Memories flickered before my eyes, laughter-filled days from my childhood, quiet moments with loved ones, dreams of the future. Each one seemed to pulse with a new intensity, as if coming alive before being snatched away. Terrified, I realized I needed to make a decision. Would I trade a cherished memory to escape this eerie road, or would I risk continuing alone in the enveloping darkness, with no promise of finding my way back? The figure waited, its silence as oppressive as the fog that surrounded us. Torn between the urge to flee and the chilling offer before me, I hesitated. The figure stood motionless, its gaze never wavering from my face, its presence suffocating. The wind seemed to hold its breath, the fog thickened, and the darkness around us deepened. It felt as if the forest itself was closing in, eager to witness my choice. Desperation clawed at my throat. "What happens if I give you a memory?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The figure's lips twitched into a semblance of a smile, more sinister than comforting. "You lose it," it replied simply, its voice echoing slightly as though coming from a deep well. "But you gain the path forward, a fair trade for those who truly wish to leave." My mind raced, pondering the cost of such a trade. Memories made us who we are. They were the essence of our soul, our history, our being. To give one up felt like erasing a part of myself forever. Yet the alternative was to remain lost in this nightmare, possibly becoming a ghostly tale for the next unwary traveler. As I grappled with the decision, the figure took a step closer, its form becoming more defined in the lantern light. Its coat was frayed at the edges, the fabric eaten away by time and neglect. Its face, though shadowed, bore the marks of age or sorrow, or perhaps both. "Decide," it urged, its voice now a commanding whisper. I glanced at the rearview mirror, half expecting to see a way out, but there was only darkness, thick and total, as if the road behind had disappeared. Forward was the only way. With a shaky breath, I nodded. "Okay," I said, the word catching in my throat. "I'll do it." "Very well," the figure responded, its voice now almost gentle. "Think of your memory." Closing my eyes, I summoned a memory of a sunny day at the beach with my family. The laughter, the warmth of the sun, the coolness of the ocean waves. It was a perfect day, one of pure joy and contentment. As I focused on this memory, I felt a strange sensation, like a gentle tug at the base of my skull. Then pain, a sharp, piercing pain that made me gasp. It felt as though something was being pulled from the depths of my mind, extracted like a tooth from gum. I opened my eyes in a panic and saw the figure's hand extended toward me, its fingers twitching as if pulling invisible strings. And then it was done. The pain receded, leaving behind a dull ache. I blinked, trying to remember what I had just thought of, but it was gone. The memory was erased, leaving a void where joy once resided. "Now," the figure said, stepping back and pointing down the road with an old, gnarled finger. "Drive. You will find your way." As I put the car into gear, the figure began to fade, melting into the fog as if it had never been. I drove slowly forward, the ache in my mind a constant reminder of what I had lost. But as promised, the road began to clear. The fog thinned, revealing the familiar outline of the main road ahead. Relief washed over me, mingled with a profound sense of loss. I glanced in the rearview mirror one last time. The back road was gone, as if swallowed by the night. I knew I should feel grateful, but as I drove back towards the lights of the town, a haunting question lingered in my mind. What else had I lost that I had yet to discover? Driving away from the twisted back road and into the familiar lights of my small town, the initial wave of relief began to ebb, replaced by a mounting sense of dread. The void left by my lost memory felt like an open wound, throbbing with each beat of my heart. As I navigated the now clear streets, I couldn't help but feel that something crucial was missing, not just from my mind, but from my life. I reached home, the house silent and dark. Fumbling for the switch, I flipped on the lights, the sudden brightness making me wince. I called out, expecting to hear the familiar response of my family, but there was only silence. A cold fear gripped me as I walked from room to room, finding each empty. No signs of a rushed departure, no notes, nothing. Everything was as it should be, except there was no one there. Panic rising, I grabbed my phone to call them, but paused. The memory I had lost, had it involved them? Was it even possible that I had forgotten them entirely? Shaking, I dialed my sister's number by heart, praying she would pick up and laugh off my fears as an overreaction. But the phone rang out into the void, and then a voice came through, not my sister's, but that of a confused stranger. "Who is this?" they asked, and after a brief, disjointed conversation, it became clear they had no idea who I was talking about. I hung up, my mind racing. I tried other numbers, friends, family, anyone who could confirm the reality I remembered, but each call added to the growing horror that the memory I had traded wasn't just a single moment, but every trace of my family's existence. Desperate for answers, I drove back to the spot where I'd encountered the figure, but the road seemed different now, untouched and innocent in the night's embrace. The old lantern was gone, and no matter how much I searched, the figure did not appear. I was alone, utterly alone, in a town that seemed to have forgotten the very people who had made it home for me. As dawn broke, a new realization chilled me to the bone. Had the figure truly stolen my memory, or had it altered reality itself, erasing them completely? Days turned into weeks, and still, no sign of my family emerged. The void within me grew, an endless chasm that no amount of searching could fill. Then, one evening as the sun set, casting long shadows over the town, a figure appeared at my door. It was not the same one from the road, but a woman, elderly and frail, with eyes that seemed too familiar, too filled with the same sorrow and loss. "You've come looking for answers," she said, her voice a whisper of leaves against stone. "Yes," I replied, my voice hoarse with desperation. "Please, tell me what happened to them, to my family." She stepped inside, her gaze never leaving mine. "The road you took, the trade you made," she began, settling into a chair as if the weight of years bore down upon her. "It's a path of no return. You see, some roads, once taken, change more than just our memories. They change our very existence." "But why? Why my family?" I demanded, my hands clenched in helpless anger. "Because," she sighed, "the road doesn't take what we offer willingly. It takes what it needs, and sometimes it needs more than we can bear to lose." The truth settled around us like the descending night. I had set out on a back road, lost and looking for a way out, only to find myself deeper in a labyrinth of loss and impossible realities. The woman rose to leave, her parting words a cold comfort. "Live with it, as many of us have. Find peace in the life that remains, not in what has been erased." And with that, she was gone, leaving me to face a twisted new reality crafted on a forgotten back road, a reality I had no choice but to accept. Thank you for listening to my channel.